to give me more, could it trigger off that bit of my head so I'd have more things to talk about. 4 is exactly as he said, corners of a house. You've got to have firm foundations for that house to stay built, otherwise it could collapse. 5, exactly what Stu said, 5-pointed star. Until you know the trick of the 2 upside down triangles, up till then it's difficult. Once you know the trick, it becomes easier. It's the hidden thing, the secret, as he said. 6, imagine throwing a dice. If you threw it 6 times and kept getting the number 6, especially in most board games, in most countries in the world, you have to throw a 6 to start. So that's lucky. It's giving you an opportunity. 7, up until roughly the age of 7, at school, it's kind of fun and games. Yes, they're learning stuff, but it's done in a more fun way. Suddenly it kicks in more that it's real education. So that's the time lessons are to be learned. 8, infinity, exactly as Stu said. And also, I also remember it as drawing a number 8, your pen comes back to the beginning. So it could be a sense of deja vu, it could be a sense of going round in circles and not apparently getting anywhere. It could be whatever the fuck you want, as we've said. 9, almost there on the journey. 10, completion. Page, Knight, Queen, King. Almost identical to what Stu said. And ultimately, even though my memory aids are ever so minuscule, tiny bit different, I still end up then going on to talk about the stuff that Stu's talked about, because then it jumps into my head because it's already stored in my memory banks. You sometimes only need a trigger when you've forgotten something, and then a flood of stuff comes back into your head. That's the key to mnemonics. So Paige is younger female, and the way I personally remember that, to me it's a younger female type energy, is that when I was dressed up as a page boy at Sunday school when I was young, I looked camp gay as fuck. I looked like a girl. So to me, the word page equals page boy, reminds me of the image of when I was young, looked puffy and girly, and therefore it's a younger female energy.
Could we add photos to that to the video?
They're actually, well, yeah, if you want, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Knight, they are ridiculously embarrassing. Knight is a younger male energy in my head, and then Queen and King should be pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to go through the major arcana because 100% same memory aids as Stu. Other than I also add to that, just say what you see, Roy. Say what you see. The only bit that Stu forgot to mention was that when your cards come out, yeah, say what you see, go with the memory aids, but obviously you link the 2 things together. So randomly, if the 7 of Cups came out, number 7 is lessons to be learned. We know that with the number. Cups, loving cups, relationships. So it's lessons to be learned in the context of relationships. If it was the 6 of Swords, swords is communication matters, or it could be conflicts, because sword fighting, or swords got 2 sides, one sharp, one dull, stereotypically, 2 sides to everything. And a number 6, it will be a successful outcome maybe. What you actually arrive at will be what jumps into your head at the time. But you just take the number and the suit, take the memory aid of each, both of them together, blend together, and something will jump into your head, and just go with it. So with that in mind, it's pretty much the same with runes. Let's go through the 25 of them. Now on my watch, which is fast, it's 3 o'clock exactly. I'm noting that just for myself to see how long it takes to go through 25 runes, to be honest. So number 1, we have the rune known as, I'm going to put this chair there so I can drop them on there when I've, probably going to be an opportune way of doing it. We have this one. This is called Frey, F-R-E-Y. The trouble with runes is they don't have a name on, or a number or anything like tarot, and that's why I could never get that bloody hang about to remember them. And then a few years back, I forget exactly what we were working on and what we were talking about, me and Stu. And I said, I've not found a single bloody book that I can get my head round on how to remember what the runes mean. I said, at the end of the day, you can say what you see, Roy, you can make it up, You can just use them as a prop, a focal point. You can go with the things that jump into your head. All of that's all well and good. And yes, you can tell the person who says they know the meaning of the runes that, no, I just do it differently. But it's nice to truly feel as though you know what you're doing. As much as this bollocks is bollocks, if we go with what's in the majority of the books, and there are books that will contradict what I'm about to say, but the vast majority of books say, and what we're going to do with each of these runes is I'm going to tell you briefly what the key points are in most of the conventional shut-eye books for the meaning of the rune, and then I'm going to tell you exactly how I remember those things, so that it gives me stuff to talk about, memory triggers for stuff to jump into my head, and so that it would, on some level, tie in with what that person may have a pre-existing perception of it meaning. So Frey, spelled F-R-E-Y. The conventional meaning of Frey, as they're found in... Yeah, I've got notes on the back. This is so I tell you exactly. This is in Royle's R.A.T system you've got in the downloads. The conventional meaning of Frey as found in the books. Frey was the god of fertility and peace. This rune therefore means good luck, success and fertility. It also refers to harmony. Reverse meaning, loss or stagnation and a lack of harmony. You may notice a commonality here, same as with the tarot. Reverse meaning means just say the bloody opposite of what it means for the right way up. Or just ignore it entirely and just go with what jumps into your head. So how do I remember those bullet points now? Look at the image. And when you look at it in comparison with all the other runes, it will look even more relevant, what I'm saying. But I like to think of this as looking like a letter F. I know the bits for the F are not quite where they should be. One should be up there. But every time you see that now, you will see a letter F. Trust me, you will. However, two bits that make the F are angled up in the air. Like a man's penis will point up in the air if you had an erection. Yeah? Therefore, when I see this rune, I see the fact it looks like the letter F, which is the first letter of the rune's name, Frey, F-R-E-Y, who was the god of fertility, which reminds me of creation, birth, and growth. Key words, and then your mind can wander off and say all manner of stuff. The letter F, say what you see, Roy, also happens to be the first letter of the word fertility, which is one of the key things. I'm further reminded by the fact of the two bits of this pointing up like a man's penis would point in the air. If you had an erection just before having sex and making love, key word that was in the stereotypical meanings, brackets, not war, and thus love equals peace. And he's making love to a fertile female, phrase the god of fertility, with whom he is in a peaceful and harmonious relationship. Peaceful, harmonious, key words you will see in any book on the runes for this rune. And in this story I painted in my head so that it jumps into my head, he'd been after her for years until he was successful and got lucky with her. Success, luck. These are key words you will see in genuine books on the runes for this rune. I also noticed that the rune's name is Frey, F-R-E-Y, and this is made up of the first three letters and the last letter of the word fertility. Which if you write it down, look at it, it starts fertility, F-E-R, and the last letter is Y. Albeit they're in a slightly different order because it's F-R-E-Y for Frey. But that's also how I remember what the bloody rune's called, in case you sat in front of somebody who's actually learnt that. That's it. Now that will stick in your head, promise you it will. But even if it doesn't straight away and you want to reread it and learn it, fine, it's in Royle's R.A.T system in the downloads. But you will be surprised to find if you get some runes, cast them, as they say, in other words, toss them on the table, pick 6 or 7 of them, lay them out in a spread like Stuart explained, and then go, right, what is that? And you make notes, and then you get out Royle's R.A.T system. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at how bang on to what the textbook meanings of the runes are you will be without even having a refresher. So, now we can start pacing on. So, that to me looks like a letter N. This is rune number 2. This is stereotypically the order that they go in, like tarot, go from 1 to 78. Number 2, this rune's called Power. So this rune looks like a lowercase letter N to me, and that reminds me of the British electricity and gas supply company called N Power. Now, bearing in mind that the conventional meaning of power as found in the books in brief is this rune means creative power, but also wisdom and knowledge. It stands for good fortune and opportunity, but also sexuality. The reverse would be opportunities missed, a lack of development, and possible physical problems or issues. That's the shut-eye version. So this is N, British Electric Gas Company, N Power, power, memory aid, word. It reminds me that my creative friend, can I paint a story in my mind? My creative friend who does do-it-yourself, DIY, has got an electric saw and an electric drill. And I've imagined him, he's there making stuff, and on top of his workbench he's got an electric saw and an electric drill, and the tabletop slightly angled, a funny angle, which is also kind of like the funny angle that this N is, so it makes another tie with the unconscious mind. And he's getting his electric supply by N Power, another reminder of power, which is for them, the supply company, very good fortune and great opportunity that they've just got another customer. Good fortune, great opportunity. As well as the above, when I look at this, it immediately makes me think, because I've now painted this in my mind, and you'll find this locks into your mind. I'm reminded, I've missed a bit there. Without the electricity supplied by M Power, he cannot use the tools to express fully his creative power. Reminds me that sometimes to achieve our full potential we need help from other people. I'm also reminded of how expensive gas and electric is, and how much it costs, certainly in England anyway. But to the supply company, for them it's good fortune, great opportunity. As well as the above, I also imagine the pop star Justin Timberlake, who was in the group called NSYNC. NSYNC. The N rune reminds me of this. And I imagine him having sex on my friend's workbench, as this also represents, this rune, sexuality. And then, having thought of Justin Timberlake and being reminded of NSYNC, I'm reminded of how clever my wife is, and she is when it comes to pub quizzes. She knows all the bloody answers I don't. So that reminds me in my head how clever, wise and knowledgeable she is when it comes to knowing the answers and winning pub quizzes. Clever, wise, knowledgeable, knowing the answers, winning. All the key points that relate to the real meaning. In turn, this reminds me that knowledge is power, or more precisely that applied knowledge, taking action, can make changes in power. Number 3, thorn, or Thor, T-H-O-R, some people refer to it as. This rune to me looks like a triangular pointy clown's hat that has been balanced on its side. So, that's the mental image I get in my head. It's a clown's hat, but it's been put on its side. This in turn reminds me that hard, stronger hats, or bearing in mind the conventional meaning of this, Thor was the Norse god of strength. This rune therefore means protection. Someone may provide help or good news may come. Reverse meaning the opposite, obviously. So, it's a clown's hat to start with. That's my memory aid. Then the moment I think of the clown, I think, well, there's other hats, including hard, strong hats, workman's hats. They offer protection to our heads. And Thor was the Norse god of strength. They're strong hats. As I look at it more, I can see that it looks like a thorn, which Thor is thorn with the end missing off, sticking out of the edge of a very short branch. And it reminds me of a youngster playing in a field and accidentally walking into a bush and getting scratched by the thorn that's sticking out from the branch. The scratch hurts and the child shouts out, "Oh God, that hurt!" But they are strong like Thor, the god of strength, and do not cry. This daft little story just jumps into my head, and it gives me all the key bullet points. The child climbs out of the thorn bush and sees their mummy, who comes over to give them help and to distract them from the injury by providing the good news that they're about to go to the local pizza restaurant for dinner. Bullet points: strong, protection, strength, Thor, the god of strength, give them help, providing the good news. It's all there in the story. It gives you stuff to talk about and then just apply it to normal, everyday life. So hopefully now we've got the idea, I can speed up even more. Reverse meaning of this one, which is Odin, is that this invokes Odin's trickster side. Someone, and this is especially true of an older person, who causes trouble or plays tricks. Beware of advice given by such people. Conventional meaning. How do I remember it? At first sight, this rune looks like a letter F, where the angled bits are sticking down. So the one we had earlier, like an F low, you're not going to forget that's fertility, because the lines are pointing up like the erection. This is a letter F with the lines pointing down. And the pointing down because the bloke can't get an erection. He's old and tired. Old person. It could also be that those angled towards the ground parts of the letter F could perhaps be the handles of a walking frame that round onto to walk along. It's old again. Used by an older person to help them. This older person is very helpful and has much wisdom and advice to give. Indeed, this rune represents Odin himself, Odin even, O-D-I-N, who is associated with sorcery and magic. And so I always think of Odin as a wise and old wizard able to offer psychic powers, insights,